everyone, this is the second British English ASMR listening practice episode, but today I'm going to be talking about my encounter with a Korean cold, and like the last episode, there will be 3 questions. The first question is, what does gullible mean? The second question is, what did the cult members tell me they were going to teach me about? And the third question is, what did I have to do for the ceremony? And let's have a bonus question. The bonus question is, how much money did I give them at the end? It's going to be slightly different from the last time because if there's a difficult word or expression like cult, it's going to flash up on your screen. I would recommend that you first watch this episode without subtitles, and then if there's something that you don't understand, you can watch it again but with the subtitles. Okay, so let's start. I was walking around Hongdae and suddenly 2 students, I think they were university students, came up to me and asked me where the line shop was. I told them it was around the corner, and we started just talking about my life in Korea and things like that. I assumed that they wanted to practice their English. Anyway, I had to go, so I left them and I went to the ramen restaurant. Anyway, after I finished eating my ramen, I went out into Hongdae again, and 2 different students came up to me. They looked about a similar age, but this time they asked me where the station was. Now at this point, I probably should have thought, this is kind of strange. 2 Koreans asking a foreigner where Hongdae station is. That's a bit weird. But I didn't. I just thought, whatever. So I told them where it was, and again we started talking, and again I assumed, maybe they just want to practice their English. They told me that they specialised in teaching foreigners about Korean culture at the university, and they asked me if I wanted to go back to their place and learn about the things that Koreans do during Seolnao. Seolnao was coming up at that point, and I thought, that'd be quite useful because I'm quite intrigued about those kinds of ceremonies, and I was planning on going to my friend's Seolnao ceremony as well, so I thought, it would be quite good practice. So I went along with them, and whilst we were walking together, I asked them, how long does it take to get to your place? And they said, about 15 minutes. So, alright, that's okay. So I followed them, and instead of just walking, we had to get the underground. So we got the underground from Hongdae station to their place, but it took about 30-40 minutes. Usually a person in this situation would just say, I'm not interested, but I'm quite a gullible person, which means I sort of believe people too easily, or I trust people too easily, so I just went with them. Anyway, we got to their place, and there was a kind of strange atmosphere inside. There was a kind of weird look in people's eyes, and they started to explain to me about these beliefs that people have, that in order to send my ancestors to the 9th level of heaven, I need to do this ceremony. They also started asking me personal questions about when my grandparents died, and the birthdays of my family members and their names, and I just gave it to them because I'm gullible. They also asked me for my cacao ID and my phone number and my address and things like that. Oh no, not my address. No, I didn't give them my address, thankfully. thing in Korea. After that we moved into another room and they told me to wear some traditional Korean clothes, and they taught me about this ceremony that people do in Korea. And at this point I still didn't realise that it was a cult. I just assumed it was a soul now ceremony. And they told me to step left 3 times and bow, like a really deep bow on the floor. Stand up, step sideways to the right 3 times, bow, go to the left, bow, right, bow, left, bow, right, bow. I kept on doing this until my knees really hurt, and I had to sort of stand a bit like this with my hands together, and I had to keep looking down all the time. And there was a man in front of me, and he started singing a song, and I wanted to have a look at what he was doing, but every time I looked at him, the girl who was reciting this passage or reciting something I didn't understand, she told me to not look at him because it was rude. So I was like, oh, okay, sorry. And afterwards, we burnt a piece of paper with Chinese letters on it. I think the ceremony was about 30 minutes. Then we had biscuits and tea together, and he invited me to have dinner with them later on, but unfortunately I had a Korean lesson, so I couldn't. Anyway, I gave my excuses, and just before I left, he said, could you give us some money? I can't remember what he said it was for, but he asked for money anyway, and I looked in my wallet, and there was only 1,000 won in my wallet, so I gave him 1,000 won, and I left. And the thing that I was upset about was that they never contacted me again. I thought cults really wanted people to join and keep coming to their meetings, but they didn't contact me, even though I gave them my cacao ID. Maybe I wasn't a worthy cult member. After I left, I went to my Korean class, and I told my Korean teacher what happened, and she told me, oh, you went to a Korean cult meeting, and they're very famous in Korea, those people. And I hadn't even realised after I left that it was a cult meeting. I still believed they were just telling foreigners about traditional Korean beliefs and ceremonies. But anyway, that's my story.